is going on, guys? It's Ditzy here, and I'm going to be bringing you the requested ticker DD report from one of our premium members. Uh, this time it's going to be on NMGRF, which is Novo Monde. If we go right here, Novo, I think that's how you say it. I don't speak French. So, Novo Monde. So, when I first looked up this ticker and what it was, I was not at all excited about looking this up. I thought that it was going to be pretty boring stuff, and I thought that I was just going to absolutely shit on the stock because who wants to invest in a Canadian mining company? That's just my mentality. Obviously, that is a very American mentality. I'm sorry, I'm not really interested in foreign mining stocks. But this one did actually interest me a whole lot, and I did learn a whole lot about a lot of things actually. So let's go on here. So what is Novo Monde? So Novo Monde, like I said, is a Canadian mining company, and they actually mine graphite, which I thought was interesting. But turns out that they actually have very strong political and investor support. And when I first read that, I was really confused as to why. But now I understand a whole lot more. So graphite, everybody knows that it's used in pencils. But what I didn't realize, and what I'm sure a lot of you guys don't realize, is that graphite actually has very large applications in electric vehicle batteries and lithium-ion batteries. So, and this is actually something that Elon Musk has been talking about for a long time. He came out, I don't know when, but I read that he said that there will be need to be more graphite mines in the world, and there needs to be quite a few more and fast before it becomes very limited on where we can get graphite. Um, so some interesting stuff about Novo Monde is that they plan to be carbon neutral, which is pretty interesting for a mining company. And they plan to be the largest graphite mine in the world, which is also important because as of right now, the largest graphite mines and actually the only place that you can get the highest quality of graphite is in Sri Lanka, wherever that is. Again, American syndrome. So but they will be producing up to 100,000 tons of high quality graphite per year. This isn't the best quality graphite, but it's high enough to be used in the EV batteries, which is what what I think makes people so bullish on this position. And another piece of bullish information, and kind of why you see the stock price, it's hovering down here at 13 cents. But the reason you see it shoot up is because recently they were approved by the Canadian government to begin construction. And we'll talk about why that's very significant. So, moving down here to the potential downsides. So, it's going to be built on native land in Quebec. So, it's going to be built on native Canadian land. There's a tribe that lives on the land where the mine will be built. I don't think that they will have to move or anything like that, but there has been some pushback from the natives and the locals. There was a small protest. I read that it was about 30 people about 2 weeks ago on the 3rd, on March 3rd. Today's the 16th. Uh, this this group was mostly hunters and local natives and things like that. And they're very concerned about the ecology of or what's going to happen to the ecosystem with the mine. They don't really care. They seem to not care that the mine plans to be carbon neutral. What they really seem to care more about is how it will affect the water and how it will affect the local wildlife. Canada is a very large country with a relatively small population, so there's a lot of untouched nature. It's similar to Alaska, for all you American people who can't really picture that. Um, so that's one downside, and there's a lot of downsides that can come with that. In America, a couple of years ago, we had the whole Dakota Access Pipeline protests and stuff. So this is a very big deal, and it's definitely a risk that you need to consider when you are investing into this company or when you're investing in this ticker, because any sort of negative PR that comes out about some mine that was backed by the Canadian government, you know, putting toxic chemicals in native water supply, that is horrible PR, and you will almost certainly see a huge, huge hit to the stock. And I don't really know if I have fears of the mine being shut down if that were to happen. Maybe regulations that could come in and hurt the actual mine itself. But yeah, that's just think about all the implications that could go on with this, because there's a lot of politics involved with that one for sure. Kind of touched on the ecological catastrophe with the whole wildlife and the waterways and stuff. But another downside you have to think about, and I don't really think that this will happen. I don't think a lot of people think that this will happen, but it is a possibility. Is EV market failure? EV. A lot of people are very bullish on EVs. A lot of people think the future is electric. But if EVs, for some reason, if people don't like EVs, or if a lot of EV companies go out of business, or if just Americans don't like EVs, or I mean, this is a Canadian mining company, so it doesn't really matter if just Americans don't like EVs. But electric vehicles, if the market were to tank for electric vehicles, then you would almost certainly see the market tank with NMGR. So I don't want to say that the EV market and the graphite mining industries are linked, because they certainly are not. There are other applications for graphite, but the reason that you're seeing this big push for this mine is specifically for EVs. That's kind of why they're building this mine. So if that doesn't, turn out as good as people think, then NMGRF could not do as well. Moving on with growth potential here. Once constructed and fully operational, the mine will only have 175 employees. I don't know how much every employee would be paid, but it's reasonable to understand that only 175 employees, when we'll talk about how much potentially they could be making per year, but that's a very low cost for a multi-million-dollar. That's a very low amount of employees for such a massive mining operation, or for a multi-million-dollar business, really. Potentially in the billions, depending on how they do. So once they're fully constructed, which I think I read that's not expected until 2025, but you guys should definitely look that up and see when they plan to be fully constructed. But they will be producing 100,000 or up to 100,000 tons per year, and this is a little bit of a generous price. I was kind of assuming that the price of graphite will increase at least a little bit. The website that I looked at said 1,400 to 1,800 for their specific quality, but I am assuming to see just at least a little bit of a price increase between when they become operational. So I went ahead and put 2K, also just to keep the numbers flat. But that will come out to potentially $200 million per year in gross revenue. So a $200 million a year mine, I don't really know how that stands up to other mines, but $200 million a year with only 175 employees and low operating costs, because they are because they are really all electric. I think I read that they are planned to be completely electric. Greatly lowers costs. Gas is expensive, and electricity is not as expensive. So yeah, so the fact that they only have 175 employees and they're keeping costs low by staying electric, you could see a very high profit margin here, which would not necessarily fuel growth, because they are a mine and there isn't anywhere to grow necessarily once they are at full capacity. But it's a very good sign to see a very profitable. When you're investing in a company at all, what you want to see is high profitability, right? So, and the last thing I'm going to touch on is that they received enough money in 2020 to fund all plans for 2021. And that includes beginning construction of the mine itself. Because, like I said, they were approved by the Canadian government. I think it was last month, to begin construction on the mine. And that's good. So, the fact that they don't have to enter into debt to begin construction of the mine is absolutely huge. They received money through financing and other options and things like that to not have to enter into debt, which is a huge, huge deal. So they're starting off on the right foot, is really what I'm trying to say. So I don't want to say that I'm particularly bullish on this. I also read that, you know, as mines tend to do, this mine specifically will eventually go dry. If that happens, I don't know what the company plans to do. Um, but eventually, there's only so much graphite you can mine in an area, right? And once you're out in the area, you're just out. So that obviously wouldn't happen for years because they're spending $350 million estimated to completely build the mine in its entirety. So obviously that's not going to happen for a couple years because if they're expecting $200 million max per year, not counting costs, not talking about paying their employees, they need that to last, at least a decade. But it's just good to know that the mine will go dry eventually, and you need to keep track of what their plans are once that happens, and or if they plan on just closing the mine, because you don't want your investment obviously to go to zero. I don't know if that's how that works. I haven't invested in mining before, but just kind of things to think about. So it has very bright outlooks. I do think that in the coming years, assuming the mine gets fully constructed, with no native interference or other political interference, you could see very high growth from this. It is tied in a way to the EV market, which I'm overall very bullish on. So this was an interesting pick, and I overall like it. I don't think that I myself will be putting money into this. I may find another graphite company or way to invest in graphite. The reason that I won't be investing in this one is because they only have OTC trades or an OTC stock, and I live in the U.S. And my broker does not allow foreign trading. So that's all I have for you today, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment. Greatly helps us. It also encourages us to make future videos for you guys and to really get involved. If you have any questions, be sure to leave comments. We'll get back to you. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching and have a good one.